Hello, everyone. Welcome to Bible Study Live with Connie and friends. I see two of my beautiful sisters on the call tonight. I need to say right up front, as you all know, it is Halloween. It is October 31st, which means that my doorbell will ring because I have candy. If that happens during our Bible study, I will either let my sisters take over if I'm in the middle of something that they can continue to talk about, or I will play. I have a video ready for you all to listen to some of our instruments for music in the Bible, because that was our theme, was music in the Bible. We are ending our October theme. And so I'm going to share with you what I've learned, and I'll reference some of the scriptures that you can look up for yourself because there are so many. But we're going to talk about instruments. We saved this last installment to talk about the various instruments in the Bible. So the first thing I want to mention is that there are 19 musical instruments mentioned in the Bible, according to what my research shows, that there are 19 instruments. And what I've also learned is that there are officially three types of instruments, but they've added the fourth of electronic, which is, it for years and years, hundreds and hundreds of years, it was just three types of instruments, which are winds, strings, and percussion. And then as technology advanced, I hear a child, as technology advanced, they added, I don't know if that was their knocks are so little. I always want them to press the doorbell because I can barely hear them when they literally go tap 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 tap. So, and if that's why I'm sitting in the living room, so I can hear them if they do a little tap. But some of them know, and they push that button, and you'll hear that beautiful ringtone. But if they don't, then I might not hear. All right, could you hear that? Let me answer my door. I'm going to put it on gallery and let you all talk amongst yourselves.
Hi, Gina.
Hi, Tracy. Do you have trick-or-treaters?
You know what? I don't get very many trick-or-treaters in my neighborhood because they have this big event at the Army base, which is about a mile away. So everyone just kind of goes there.
We have a mix. Some years we have hardly any. Other years we see a few more. I thought we were going to get more this year, but it slowed down. So, and then we end up with too much candy left over. So there's that.
I know. And I don't need candy left over because it'll just get old in my house. It won't get eaten, it'll get old, but I'll give it to somebody. Anyway, I'm going to keep it on gallery view since this might happen again, and that way they can see my beautiful sisters are here. So, three types of instruments: wind, strings, percussion, and now four if you count electronic. I do want to mention, so some people, and it's been hot. Oh, there's not. It's been hotly debated, and Gina, you can probably explain this about pianos. They are both percussion and strings.
I think they are percussion. They're percussion because you play the sound by hitting the thing. Whereas, like with a violin, you stroke the string itself, but a piano you hit the thing and then the lever hits the string. So, but I could see how you might call it a string instrument, but you don't play it like you play a violin or a bass or a viola. You don't have any direct contact with the strings.
That's interesting. I never thought of it like that, but you're absolutely right.
Yeah, we were taught that it was a percussion instrument, but I'm curious about like a bass or a guitar. I would think those would be string instruments, but they're also not. I mean, they're played by strumming, I guess. Sometimes, striking, but I'm assuming they're string instruments.
Yes,
And I
I'm
think
back.
electronic. Hi. Were you
Yeah,
saying
it's
that
so
yes,
funny. So I've had
basses are string instruments?
the piano.
Guitar and bass.
Oh yeah, guitar and bass are string. They might bring it again. I've been getting some duplicates, and I'm like, I already gave you candy. I know, but I came back. So guitar and bass are strings, as are harps. Um, and of course, winds are anything you blow. So I'm going to mention some of the names of these instruments. So winds, they have pipes, things mentioned in the Bible, halil, and I have a picture of a halil, which is similar to a flute because it says it's horizontally played and it's double reeded and similar to an oboe or flute. They have a ugab, which is similar to that too, and a symphonea. And they said they're not even clear what they meant when they said that one. And they have masrogi, shofar, chatsotra, which is metal instead of it's a horn, but it's metal. And then they have a karen. So 1 second, I'm going to show you these. Can I get some candy in the bag? Okay. No. Thank you. They said, we remember you from last year, but I wasn't here last year. So you just smile and wave, smile and wave. So let me show you and let you hear both a halil. I'll let you see a picture of a halil and then the shofar. I thought it was just interesting, shofar. So let me show you. I'm going to share my screen and show you a couple of interesting instruments. Let's see. I'm going to do the shofar first. So let me do that one. And so everybody, you're learning these new instruments. These are mentioned in the Bible. Okay. Participants can now see my screen, it says. And you should be able to hear because I turned on the audio. It's soulful. They said it was soulful. All right. So that was a shofar. And then let me show you what the halil looks like. This is what it looks like, the halil. So you can see this wind instrument as well. Hold on. I'm gonna close them so I don't come back to them. So you see 19. I told you 19. All right, I'm gonna get rid of shofar and then I'm gonna stop sharing my screen for a moment. We're gonna talk about the stringed instruments. So was that an interesting sound, the ram's horn? All right, so then percussion. I have some of these to show you. Percussion, of course, things you hit. So it's cymbals, but most of, like I think cymbals, I think, right? But most of them are more like castanets. The symbols that they talk about in the Bible are typically finger cymbals. Selsalim, when you click them, they said it's whirring like as an insect's wings, and mesothelium, they're double tinklers, but they're things that just tinkle as percussion, not, they said that as we now know drums, they didn't have drums like that in the Bible with the sticks and doing the thing. That's not what they're talking about. They have castanets, mena aram were the most common. And again, they were small finger cymbals. They did have tambourines. They called them a toph, T-O-P-H. And then they had bells, and the bells, they have pa amen, which were the ones that were attached to Aaron's robe so that you would know when you heard him coming, and you could, be ready to praise Lord. and Metsila, they put on the horses. If you were riding the horses, you could hear the jingle as the horses were going. So I was thinking about Christmas music like Jingle All the Way, and part of it was from biblical times. They would put bells on horses as they would move. And so those are the percussion instruments that they talked about. Typically, they were made of fir and juniper wood. So I'm going to show you once some instruments, not this guy, we already did him. No, I don't want to raise my hand. Let me hide the floating meeting control so I can get to it. All right, so these are the castanets, and they had similar ones. The string around it, it was something where you could hold on to it, but they're little. They're either like this, like you hold them in your hand, or you tie them on your fingers to make the sound for the castanets. And then I don't want to do that one yet. Let me see if I have, oh, that's next, and that's next. Okay. All right. So castanets and bells were the percussion that they had in biblical times. And then they get to the strings. And the strings, of course, I found super fascinating. The zither, the lyre, and I've always, seen lyre in the Bible and never knew what it was, but it was a type of harp, and I'm going to show it to you. They called it a lyre or a stringed instrument, or Nabel Azor, which had, Azor means 10, so it had 10 strings. They had a kinnor as well, and a santorin or santorin or satyrian. The P was silent, and they're both the same instrument, but whether it's Hebrew or Greek, they had a little bit of different words for them. So I got to show you these strings. I saved the best for last because I thought the strings instruments, we talked during our series about how David would calm King Saul down by playing these instruments. And when you see it, you're like, yeah, he did. Yeah, like it immediately, you're like, woosah. So let me show you some woosahs. Hide the floating meeting controls again. Oh, hold on. I wish this was easier to do, to hide those. So this is a psaltery, because that was one of them. So psalterian or santerin, same kind of thing. And I've actually seen these before. And this, you can see the strings on that one. This one is the Nebel Azor, even though Azor means 10. Let's see, I think I only count 9. Oh no, that's 10. Okay, 10 strings. They're right. And look how this is made. Isn't that interesting? So I would love to have like a whole gallery of these kind of instruments in the house. So this is what a lyre sounds like. Okay, now that's that guy again. Then this guy,
What is a
look that
lyre?
face.
Like King David used to play. Well, this isn't a lyre, but this is a kinnor harp, which is very similar to a lyre, but it's a little bit smaller. Just a mini harp. It sounds like this. You're probably wondering, what is a lyre? Like King
Okay, so then look what I found, the Lyre of Megiddo. I'm not going to play all of it, but he's singing in Hebrew, and I just thought how calm it was and how beautiful it was. I wanted to share this with you, a little bit of it.
Adonai hoi lo echsar pilot deshi yarbitzeini al mei menuchot ינעלני נפשי ישובב ינחני ומעגלי צדק למען שמו.
Okay. So when I watched that, and I watched the whole thing and listened to the whole thing, I was like, I know exactly why that calmed King Saul's spirit. And, from the singing to just the playing of the beautiful instrument. And when I listen to the lyre specifically, it reminds me of jewelry boxes. Like it's as though everything, all of our music, those kinds of classic things that we hear have been based on that instrument. And so, anyway, I wanted to make sure that I share that with you. There is a page that I will put in the chat um, that's on the internet that has, oh, I can't minimize, so I was going to find it. I'll put it in the actual chat of this, but I'll also put it in the when I post it on YouTube so that you all can see it. But this is where it gives all the scriptures for the different types of instruments that were shared. And so, let me add to the chat. I'm going to put this in, but it's on gotquestions.org, musical instruments Old Testament, musical dash instruments dash Old dash Testament, and you can look there. And but I will also put it into the chat when I post this. But 19 instruments. So whenever anybody asks you, how many instruments were mentioned? 19 musical instruments were mentioned. There are basically three types in scripture: wind, strings, and percussion. They did not have electronic. Um, and they didn't play drums as we know them. And then for previous weeks, we found out that there were 118 mentions of trumpets in the Bible. So this isn't how many mentions of instruments. There are 19 that are mentioned. 118 times there were trumpets. So they had certain things, as we learned last time, where it was to herald somebody coming or to do a war cry. And then other things, like you can see, they talk about the lyres and the harps and the timbrels and things like, and it's to soothe the savage soul. So that's what I've learned about musical instruments. And what do my sisters have to say? My minion sister over there.
I don't know. I think I thought that the lyre would sound more like the harp and less like
Plucking of a guitar.
or that one instrument, the kalimba, the one that where it's each little thing you hit each little time. And because it doesn't seem like you play chords on it, it seems like it's a separate thing. It's interesting. His voice was amazing.
And normally when they're listing them, they say lyres and harps. So I guess it's a kind of harp according to what I read, but they do often in scripture say lyres and harps.
Yeah, very different sound. More staccato, more separate. You know what I mean? Less flowy.
Yeah. Mhm,
Boy,
mhm.
he could have really played you know, a tub thing, on those little tub banjos. And it would have been amazing because his voice was so beautiful, but the instrument went beautifully with his voice.
I know. I know. It's real. I'll include that link too when I post it because it was beautiful. And like I said, I just sat and listened to the whole thing and just, let me hear you sing it. And it's only 5 minutes, so it's not that long. I could have gone through the whole thing, but I just wanted to make sure I came back to my sisters.
I also think instruments make it clear as much as many times as mentioned, and as much as singing and dancing are how important those things are to God and how they uh-oh, what happened?
Trick or treat. Okay. Hello. I put some candy in your pocket. Yeah. May I put some in your pocket? Yeah. Thank you. You're welcome. You're beautiful. Bye-bye. Okay, so as much as dancing and singing were mentioned in the Bible, what did you say, sister?
It's just interesting to me how instrumental God feels those things are to our humanity and to joy in our lives and emotion in general. I mean, there are laments that are sung, and there's joyful singing, and there's joyful dancing, and the instrument. You know what I mean? It's just interesting to me how
And then there's songs of mourning.
how
Yeah.
much music is integral to our lives.
Yeah, it is interesting. And right from the beginning, one of the things, look, I have instruments behind me. I gotta show that since this is apropos. Um, one of the things we found, Tracy, I don't know if you were on that study, but we found that after they did the Last Supper, they sang a hymn. And I'd never noticed it before, but it says it right after you read about the Last Supper, and the last verse of that chapter is, and when they had sung a hymn, and then it says wherever they went next. And so Spring and I were on for that one, and she was like, I never noticed it either, that they sung a hymn after the Last Supper. I was like, I never noticed. So, but I agree with what you're saying, Tina. Music is so integral from voices to instruments and for all different reasons, to herald things, to cheer, celebrate, to, for romance,
Bring,
to calm
yeah, bring people
spirits.
together too. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, they would talk about doing the trumpets it would say there were certain trumpet sounds that meant everybody come gather.
Mhm.
And yeah, we talked about that last week, but yes, it was specifically to bring people together. Yeah, it's really interesting. Did you know what the instruments looked and sounded like,
I
Tracy?
did not. So this was very interesting. What was the first one again? What was the first
Uh,
instrument
I
again?
don't know which one. The first one I showed you,
Yes,
Oh, the one that
probably a Halil,
the Hallel.
or
Yes,
the ram's horn, the shofar.
the one that you played that you played the sample of.
yeah, we didn't hear a sample of the Hillel.
Was it the shofar, the horn?
Okay,
Yes,
I
we
didn't
saw
play a sample of the Halil. I just showed a
okay. So it
picture.
must have been the second one then.
so far. Yeah, the one that looked
Yeah,
like it
that's
was.
the
Okay.
shofar.
Yeah, they're all beautiful, calming,
I know.
just makes you just stand still for a moment and silently praise.
Yeah. Yeah. When people tell me they don't listen to music, they're like, oh, I don't really like listening to music. I'm always like, you're sus. I don't even trust you now. You don't listen to music. I can't, we can't be friends. We cannot be friends. We were raised in a house full of music, just constant music. From mom and dad playing records to mom playing classical and jazz on the piano. My grandmother would play the piano, my Aunt Trudy would play the piano. Of course, Mickey sang and played the piano, and my Aunt Jean played the piano. Our uncles played horns and piano, and That's all we knew was music in the house. There was always just music filling the house. So, I'd hear people were like, "Yeah, I don't like to play music. I just like the TV on." I'm like, you know, uh-uh. Nope, nope, not okay. So, I love music, and I feel like it's in our DNA. We're supposed to love it. We're supposed to love it. Well, thank you, sisters, for being on tonight.
Thank you.
I really appreciate you. And thank you, Facebook, for tuning in and being patient while I answered my door to give out candy. So, candy and music tonight, that was the order of the evening. And you all have a good night on Facebook. Bye, Facebook.
Facebook.